Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Candidate Forum for Democratic Candidates for Kane County Board District 17 in the June 28th primary election. The forum is hosted by the League of Women Voters of the Elgin area. My name is Shirley Mae Burns, and I will be the moderator tonight. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that works to empower voters and encourage informed participation in our democracy. One of the ways that we do this is to hold candidate forums to provide voters an opportunity to hear the candidates running for election. The forums sponsored by the League give candidates for local offices a chance to present information about themselves and their candidacy, background skills, education, reasons for running for office, what they hope to accomplish if elected, and positions on various issues relevant to the office. All candidates in contested races were invited to participate in a forum. Each one was given the opportunity to fill out a candidate questionnaire on our website, and their written response, if any, can be found in the voter guide. The format tonight is a forum, not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for the accuracy of statements made by the candidates. It is the responsibility of the public, news media, and opposing candidates to fact-check statements made by a candidate. The candidates have agreed to abide by the ground rules, among them being that no voice, image, or other duplication of the forum may be used by any candidate's representative or campaign in any campaign advertising. This evening, you will have a chance to hear from the Democratic candidates for the Kane County Board District 17, Deborah Allen and Franklin Ramirez. Currently, there is no Republican candidate. The format for today's forum will be a 2-minute opening statement followed by 1-minute responses to questions from the moderator and ending with 2-minute closing statements. Our timekeeper will show the candidates when they have 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, 50 seconds left, and when their time is up. Questions from the candidates are selected from those submitted by the League and audience members. Following the opening statements, the audience is invited to submit written questions on the cards provided. Please raise your hand if you wish to receive a blank index card or to have a question collected. The questions will be collected by League members and presented to the moderator. The League reserves the right to consolidate questions that are similar in content and to eliminate any questions that are inappropriate. If your question is not addressed or you would like a more detailed answer, please feel free to contact the candidates later for a response. After the question and answer period, the candidates will have the opportunity to give a 2-minute closing statement, beginning in reverse order. We ask that you, the audience members, abide by the following rules. Please silence all cell phones and pagers. Please remain silent and seated during the forum. Please do not respond in any audible way to the candidates. This forum will be recorded and posted to the League of Women Voters Elgin Area YouTube channel, where it will be available for viewing via links on our website, LWVEALginArea.org, and our Facebook page. It will also be available in the Illinois Voter Guide. Welcome to our candidates, and thank you for agreeing to participate tonight. Ms. Allan, we will begin with your 2-minute opening statement.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the League for being willing to go through this drill over and over and over again. let us come and talk about the things that we care about so much. My name is Deborah Allen. I live at Chicago and Gifford. My husband and I found Elgin in 1985, so we've lived there for 37 years. And it was just amazing because we walked into an old neighborhood, into an old house. It comes with a long list, of course, but all the ghosts are friendly. And it came with a neighborhood of old house fans, neighborhood activists, city activists, and really good friends. So we're grateful to have had a home here for so long. I ran for county board and won 20 years ago. And my credential, I think, is that my neighbors have been so kind to honor me with letting me carry this position for all these years. So I'd like to use the rest of my time to tell you about something that can happen sometimes at the county board. The Department of Agriculture has a farmland preservation program. I think they want to protect the breadbasket. And it invites counties to participate, but counties have to come up with matching funds. And most counties are living off of tax dollars, so there's no extra money to do something like that. So Kane County is lucky because we have the Elgin Casino Riverboat, which sends us a portion of their profits every year. And that all coincided with the beginning of this program. And since the riverboat's request to us is to honor the 3 E's, environment, education, and economic development, the farmland protection clicked all of those boxes. So that's something that we've been interested in for a while. I'm running out of time, so I'll come back to this at the end.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez, your 2-minute opening statement, please.
Well, thank you to the League of Women Voters. Thank you to Ms. Allen for being here. This is my third League of Women Voters candidate forum and the first opportunity to participate. So I do appreciate that. Thank you for everybody that is here today, and thank you to those that are watching online. 25 years ago, I started to get involved with local government. So when I was 15 years old, I joined the Youth Commission for the City of Park Ridge. And I enjoyed it. Then the mayor said when 16, hey, Franklin, would you mind representing the youth for the Uptown Redevelopment Task Force? And I said, sure. And so when I'm the only kid sitting on the dais with about 15 other adults, they look at me and say, shh, we don't need you to say anything. Okay, just watch and listen. And I don't accept that at all. And so I learned at 16 very quickly how TIFs work, and I just dove in. So for the past 25 years, this has been my passion. There are 2 kinds of people that run for office, those that chase issues and those that understand that this is who we are. This building was made through elected officials. You know, the fire code, the electricity that goes through here, all of it had to go through the city council or another form, another elected official or committees. And so being involved in politics is not a bad thing. And so I enjoy it, and this is why I'm here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will begin the question and answer portion of the forum, with a reminder that each candidate will have 1 minute to answer. Kane County received $103 million in federal American Rescue Plan funds. Some of that money has been earmarked to plug short and long-term budget holes worsened by the pandemic, but a large portion will be used to improve the quality of life in the county. Ideas include better water quality, flood relief, new business and tourism growth, and support for mental health services and addiction treatment. Do you agree with these priorities? Are there other initiatives you would suggest? Ms. Allen, you may address it first.
Thank you. The first thing that we did was to take $4 million and turn it right over to the people who are dealing with food, housing, mental health issues. They're referred to the Big Six, and they are the important social agencies in Kane County. And then the next round had to do with smaller organizations. We are earmarking a bunch of that money for the reasons that we think as a county we have responsibility to the whole county, and our staff spends a lot of attention on the things that they have to do and then the things that they would like to do that would make life better. So that's one of the reasons we turned to them to see what it was they wanted. Here's an opportunity. How can we make it work? And then there's a smaller fund that's left of about 10 million, and that still is to be divided. There is an opportunity to further reach out into the community, and I'm thinking that's probably what we'll be doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ramirez, the same question.
$103 million from the federal government, I would welcome anytime. However, if it had not been for COVID, I don't think we would see any of that money. And so those that needed it the most, through rental assistance, food assistance, et cetera, the bulk of that money, and when I say bulk, I'm looking at 99% of it, should be going towards third-party vendors, if you will. What I don't like is when we sit there and say, we have this money, let's use it on us. Now, I get if we redo the HVAC system, et cetera, but I just don't want it to be bubble gum in a dam, because I don't want for next year's budget to come through and say, we're missing that money now. And so responsible spending is exactly what we should be doing.
Mr. Ramirez, you will address this question first. Estimated cost to implement, implement the Safety Act for criminal justice reform are some $21.4 million over the next 3 fiscal years. The Kane County Board has discussed a potential new sales tax referendum to support public safety and additional courtrooms. If approved, it would be placed on the November ballot. What are your thoughts on the need for additional funding?
Well, I definitely understand that with cash bail being eliminated, and to my understanding, Kane County is one of a few counties that they're seeing if this is actually going to work. And so while we're the guinea pigs, and say, okay, I understand the purpose of getting rid of cash bails, but at the end of the day, that money that was used from cash bails would have went to help the county, with their finances. So when we're looking at that to say, hey, we want to put a sales tax on, I don't mind that, right? The bigger question is this. I don't want a complicated sales tax. I want something that's pretty straightforward, where I can knock on anybody's door or explain it simply and says, this is what it's going to be. To my understanding, it is pennies per $100, but I don't like the fact where, is it to-go cup of coffee? Is it going to be here cup of coffee? That doesn't make sense to me.
Thank you. Ms. Allen, the same question.
I absolutely agree with Mr. Ramirez on the cup of coffee. To be fair, the tax does not involve groceries and medicines, the most essential things. So it's a kind of a use tax. If you're going to go out and buy a fancy car, then you would pay the tax. The thing is that we don't have enough data yet. Admittedly, all of this is going to start on January 1, and that's what our judicial partners are saying to us. We've got to be ready to go on January 1. Well, I saw how quickly people adapted to handle the COVID situation. It was, IT jumped in, building and grounds jumped in. Everybody who was involved was there to make it happen and make it work. So I'm trusting that on January 1st, that's going to happen also. So the thing is that, yes, over 3 years, the state's attorney would like to have 61 additional attorneys, but there aren't even that many people available to hire. So I think that what we will do is ease into this.
Thank you. Ms. Allen, I'll ask you to answer this question first. Kane County Board members receive a $25,000 salary, an amount that has not changed for more than a decade. The board voted down a plan to give them 2% annual raises for 3 years starting in December, but voted to retain a health insurance program worth an additional $25,000 a year. Do you believe that the current salary and benefits program is adequate for what is essentially a part-time job or should be raised?
I was one of the people who voted to keep the salary at $25,000, and the reason is that it is a part-time job. People make of the position whatever they want. So there are some people who show up a lot, and there are some people who don't. Fortunately, you currently have a board of people who are truly invested, and I can only hope that that carries on in the next years. It's like all the planets aligned, and everybody is working together on the issues that are important to their constituents. So I think it's okay for the salary to be what it is. The health benefit allows some people who might otherwise not be able to serve. We have some single moms on the board. We have some people who are retired. But the health benefit is the same benefit that's available to other county employees. There's no difference in cost and so on. And it's a fringe benefit that allows people to serve who might not otherwise be able to.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez?
Part-time job is like not what I think of the county board. You are a county board member for 365, 24/7. Someone's going to call you, knock on your door, email you. I'm not going to do it only between the hours of 12 and 4. So like what Ms. Allen said, it's what you make of it, but it's a commitment. You sit there and you put your name on the ballot, and then you sit there and say, I want to do this. You've got to do it. So this is going to be a full-throated effort to be a county board member, not a part-time job. Even though it comes with a part-time salary, I do agree, with health benefits. To Ms. Allen's point, you may not be getting enough health benefits from your full-time job. I'd rather sit there and change the hours of when the county board meets to allow other people to participate.
Thank you. You, Mr. Ramirez, will answer this question first, please. The Kane County Board voted in January to keep a 50% across-the-board discount to development impact fees in place. The discounts were originally implemented to encourage commercial and industrial development during the recession. Do you believe that impact fees should continue to be discounted, or that they should be restored to the original fees as development activity increases?
I always love bringing activity to Kane County, and I understand why the impact fees were reduced to begin with. I just don't think it's a light switch you want to turn on and off. We've had the recession, yes. We're going through COVID. Some might say it's over. Some might say we're at the tail end. But still, that wound is still fresh. Do we come up with a plan to increase those fees on a graduated or ladder scale? I would be open to that. But just to sit there and say 50% this year and 100% next year, people don't. They accept gradual change. They don't accept drastic change, one way or the other.
Yes, Ms. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Allen?
The impact fees were instituted at a time of tremendous development in the county. You remember back in those days, we were all terrified when we saw farmers selling land to developers because they could. I mean, why wouldn't you try and make that money? Your land is a 401k. So the impact fees were figuring that that development was going to have costs, certainly transportation costs, and that's what the impact fee was directed at. So then it all calmed down, and so it made sense to ease up on the fees. I would say that what we need to do is keep gathering data. One of the things that's coming out of COVID is that people are working from home, and that's good for the people who have kids. It's good for a lot of businesses. I think it's good for government. So I'm interested in seeing how things shake out. And if people are not driving, then they're not going to mess up the roads as much. Might have to look at how trucks are using the roads, of course. But I think we are still where we are gathering data.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will start with you for the next question, Ms. Allen. There has been some discussion of whether mental health facilities and services are best handled by Community 708 boards or by the county. What are your views on the best way to provide mental health services to the community?
Well, first off, Kane County has been very uneven in that basically the southern half of the county has had a series of 708 boards, still does, and the northern half of the county has not. So if you were in unincorporated Geneva Township, St. Charles Township, you wouldn't have anywhere to turn, whereas if you were in incorporated St. Charles, you would. And in the northern end, we're just now trying to solve that problem. So the county put together a committee to look this over, and what that committee came up with was a suggestion that we have a countywide 708 board, that the people who are already involved in 708 would be part of that because they already knew how to do it, and that would be a way to disperse as much value to the dollar as we possibly could throughout the whole county. It's going to take a while to do that because people are used to how it's organized now, and you have to see if they're willing to commit to a whole program. I hope they will.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez?
See, and I think you could do both. You know, I think that those areas that elected to have a county board, you know, whether it be 15 years ago or 2 years ago, should be able to sit there and serve themselves. Now, for those that are in the county that's not presently served by a county board, I believe that Kane County could have a referendum in those areas that sit there and say, would you like to be part of a Kane County board? You know, and then grandfather in those, you know, for instance, the southern mental health boards. But I think you can do both. I don't think it needs to be a one or the other. I do agree that mental health is not a buzzword. It's real, you know, just as real as this water bottle is. And we need to sit there and recognize it. And so when we can sit there and continue to do what we do currently, but then invite others, you know, in mass scale, countywide, we should at least have that option. You know, if they say no, then we can parse it out as we do now.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez, the next question. Do you approve of using our tax dollars to fund Sheriff Ron Haynes' efforts to reduce recidivism rates?
Yes. I think Sheriff Haynes has been doing an amazing job with the jail. You know, I think the point is to not have a revolving door of people that come in, that offend, and that come in and that leave and then offend again. You know, I think so what he's doing is he recognizes that that is an issue, and we need to sit there and help those. Well, it could be mental health, it could be substance abuse, it could be any number of things. And if you can pinpoint what the core is, and we can help treat it, not necessarily, you know, on tax dollars, but to sit there and recommend here or there to reduce recidivism. Sure. Would I sit there and say the entire sheriff budget go towards it? No, but I think what he's doing is fine.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
One of the spectacular things that has happened is the Chief Judge Hull and Sheriff Haynes and State's Attorney Mosser have brought together their staffs, court services, public defender also, and worked towards one goal, which is to try and help people who find themselves in the court system. And if you're the offender who is a danger to someone, then of course you need to be incarcerated. You probably need to be in a regular prison at some point. But all the rest of us are stumbling over some kind of problem that could be conceivably fixed. So we have drug court, we have mental health court, we have veterans court, and these programs are just yes, it's costly, because it's one person at a time. You're saving one life at a time. But that's exactly how this works. That's how we grow up, and that's how we live our lives. So it's just a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Allen, again, you'll take this one first. What do you think about the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Climate Action Plan? Is it doable for Kane County or not?
The Mayor's Caucus has to do with, to some extent, taking federal money and getting it home. The idea being that the closer you are to a problem, the more likely you are to be able to solve it. So I think as long as we're going in those directions, that's a good way to handle federal money. It's a good way to get it into the hands of the people who can do the best work. I think it's fine. I'll look to Franklin. He will know how to.
We
Thank
consult
you.
the crystal ball.
Mr. Ramirez.
The Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Climate Action Plan. I have no idea what that is, and I'll be first to admit it. I've been more than happy to look into it, but I will say this: I'm glad someone's talking about it. You know, I was chatting with someone the other day, and he's like, "Climate change, garbage." He says, 15,000 years ago, we were an ice sheet. And I said, that may be true. I said, however, what we put into our cars that gets spit out the back and to sit there and float up into the atmosphere is very real. I said, and we need to sit there and understand what we're doing currently. But to the action plan, I can't answer that question directly. So to who wrote it, sorry, but I will look into it.
Thank you. The next question.
We'll both work on it.
Yeah.
Mr. Ramirez first. Where do you think the Kane County what do you think the Kane County gas tank rate should be and why?
I want to say lower than it is now, $5.86 to fill up for 1 gallon. I remember years ago when gas was approaching $5, and I was like, okay, $4.50, I can deal with this. But $5.86, that's a lot. I couldn't tell you what rate. Ms. Allen will be more specific on that. But I welcome a gas tax holiday. Not just this year. I said, but why can't we sit there and have a gas tax holiday for 1 month every year? And so, I mean, as users, as people who, I have a car. I look at that and I go, gosh, I'd love to sit there and save $1 or $2. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we're all of us living in an anomaly right now. Yes, there is a war going on, and it affects the crops that are being raised and who's going to get that grain. And and in some places, I think it's maybe an excuse to raise the prices of the supply chain, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know enough to know which items are affected by supply chains and which are not. But it seems to me that some people take advantage, and some of this is just us doing our best to help our brethren in Ukraine. The county has talked about raising gas tax a couple of times because we can, and we've always turned it down. Once again, I would not be in favor of raising a tax until we have enough data and until we are in a little more stable environment. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Allen, how would you rate Kane County and the Forest Preserve District on transparency and ease of access to information and/or searchability on their websites?
I think it's pretty amazing. I hope it's not, I hope it's that because I'm a little more familiar, I can find the things that I need. But I haven't had a lot of calls from people saying, gee, I can't find this at all. And on times when It has taken me a while to find something. Fortunately, we have an IT department that is hands-on. They will answer their phone any time of the day or night, and they will go to work at trying to fix things. So I am hoping that any of you who've tried to use it have had success. If you haven't, please share with us your problems. One of the wonderful things about the finance information is when I first joined the board, the Forest Preserve every month listed all of their checks, so you could see exactly what money was being spent on. Took the county a while to do that, but we do that now. And we do it in committee, and we do it executive, and we do it at full board. So all of that information is available, and you can sort by vendor, or you can sort by year, or you can sort by category. Just keep talking to us.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez?
When it comes to both the county website and the Forest Preserve website, I would give them a 9 out of 10 in terms of transparency and ease of use. I think that it's quite easy. I mean, gosh, I've gone to other government websites and had one heck of a time trying to find minutes and agendas. I think when you go to, especially the county's website, it's in your face, not to be slang. But what I want to see more from the Forest Preserve is more marketing. I want people of Kane County to actually know that they have a Forest Preserve and it's viable and that you can use it more. I mean, gosh, right over there by Sherman Hospital is, I think, one of the most amazing campgrounds and trails. And I guarantee you maybe 5% of the county knows that it even exists. So that's the transparency I want to see.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Ramirez first. How should Elgin Riverboat Casino funds be used by the county? Should they be used for county operations or for capital projects only?
Oh, to me, that's easy, capital projects only. I think that, quite honestly, I had a conversation with the chairman of the Riverboat Foundation, and I said, I think more money needs to come to Elgin and less outside. When you sit there and think that this riverboat funds multiple projects across the state of Illinois, I just shake my head. And I go, this is the Elgin Grand Victoria Casino. And I think Elgin needs to sit there and benefit. But to the question, yeah, I think the county for capital improvements, I mean, again, we look at that Forest Preserve, and they just redid the bike trail, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I think that's amazing. More things like that. 2 thumbs up.
Thank you.
Actually, we do bike trails every year. We just keep moving them around. The people who brought in the casino were so excited about the opportunity to have gambling in this area that they gave the Forest Preserve $6 million over 12 years for crossing the bike trail with the sidewalk that takes you from the land onto the boat. And then they also promised a certain percentage, I think it's a little more than 3% of their net profits every year. And there was a time when the county was getting $12 million. Gives you an idea of why it was worth doing. Last year, it was about 3.5, the year before was about 3.5. We just found out in April that the amount for 2021 would be about $6 million. And yes, it should be used for capital. What happened was, in the agreement, the state's attorney was given permission to have like a Gamblers Anonymous opportunity if people were going to, we'll talk more later.
Thank you. Ms. Allan, again, the question comes to you first. This question comes from the Well Child Center in Elgin. For the past 5+ years, many in our community, such as immigrants and refugees, have been too scared to seek the services and supports for which they are eligible out of fear of being deemed a public charge and jeopardizing the status and safety of their families here in the U.S. What would you do to ensure that families here in Kane County have access to and feel safe while seeking services, such as primary and dental health care from community-based organizations in Elgin?
We currently publish a 211 guide, and it's up to all of us to make sure that everyone has access to that. And the idea is that if you have some kind of a problem, there's someone that you can call and get information about where to go next. Now, I am trusting on all of the agencies who are in the business of helping other people that they will do that in the safest way possible. Anything other than that is a betrayal of trust. And I just expect us all to live up to our responsibilities. The goal is to just try and let people know what the resources are. I think that's true of every one of us. How about the first time you call Social Security? So at any rate, let's try and share with our neighbors that these resources are available. It's in printed form, it's at least bilingual, and it's a telephone call away.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez?
I agree that education is very powerful. When you can sit there and turn to someone and say, hey, these are the resources that you can go to. Because right now, there's a lot of people out there that have no clue as to where to turn. So I'm thankful for 211. But when I sit there and would look at the Well Child Center and say, if someone needs help, we should help them. We shouldn't be asking them, grilling them, what's your social security number? What's your tax status? What's your this? I mean, if you need baby formula, here you go, as long as we have it. If you need diapers, here you go, as long as we have it. We're a community that sits there and helps each other. I get it, the financial restraints, on taxpayers as well. But I want to sit there and make sure that we all live together in a peaceful way. I don't want to sit there and say, oh, I don't know, you live on that side, so we can't give you anything here. So I'm not about grilling people over their statuses and say, I'm going to call USCIS on you.
This question I ask Mr. Ramirez to address first. Kane County Forest Preserve District Commissioners just approved a budget that includes a $197,000 property tax levy increase to account for new property and inflation, the maximum they could approve without voter approval. Do you support the property tax increase? Why or why not?
My first question would be, what are you using it for? Do we have property in mind that we're going to grab, that we would want to purchase? If it's just to sit there and say, hey, for future things, then no, I don't think you should maximize just your tax levy just because. I definitely understand prices increase, so I understand that. Keeping things at a 0% increase for a levy, not necessarily the smartest, in terms of fiscal responsibility. I think that you have to understand that the price of goods increase, so must we. My whole thing is to lower your tax levy, we have to increase residents within the county. So if we can do that, then we'll be
Thank you.
Even par.
Ms. Allen?
Well, we have not raised taxes since 2011, and that was on purpose. Part of it is to ask the people who work for the county, our departments, if somebody retires, do you necessarily need to replace that position? Or if you brought somebody in, would you use them in a different way? What is the most efficient way to run the county? I think we've done that drill as far as we can go because we're having trouble holding on to people now. Other counties are trying to steal our staff. We have not been able to fill health department roles for obvious reasons. They're in great demand. We can't fill our building and maintenance staffs. So I am in favor of doing a CPI because Microsoft is never going to charge us less. We are simply going to have costs that go up every year, and I think that that is a reasonable way to try and handle it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that leads into the next question. Inflation and a tight labor market have made it difficult to hire and retain county staff. What are your thoughts on offering competitive wages while maintaining a balanced budget, Ms. Allen?
Sure. Again, data is at the root of all of this, and we are working on this, as a matter of fact, right now. If a secretary is in Sheriff Haynes' office doing basically the same work that's happening in the development department, why are they paid different amounts of money? The county has never done the drill of saying, the Forest Preserve has, but the county has not. But the Forest Preserve is a lot smaller. It's like 80 people. County is 1,200. So part of the thing is to try and figure out what job qualifications are, what you expect people to do in that, and then try and get people paid fairly. Also, we're asking our departments, if you've been cut to the bone and there's stuff that you can't do, then do you need another person now, and what should that salary be? We've just revamped building and maintenance because we haven't been able to fill those positions for a couple of years, and that's a drill that we're doing throughout the county. So once again, I'm going to say that data is always what should drive us.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez?
So when you tighten the belt more and more and more and more, eventually there's no holes left. And then you sit there and go, what happened? Inflation or not, I think competitive wages are a must. When I was at the county briefly working on a special project, and I asked the gals that are there, oh, hey, where did you come from? They're like, oh, I was over at the circuit clerk's office. And I said, oh, why are you here? Oh, I'm getting paid more. Oh, how much did you get paid over there? Like $12 an hour. I'm sorry, $12 an hour? I said, well, McDonald's is doing 15 and some people are starting off at $20. I go, we're paying circuit clerk employees. Now, mind you, I didn't know what exactly her job was. $12 an hour. So yeah, competitive wages. I'm completely in for it. When we sit there and say, I'm going to tighten the belt more and more, this is what we get with.
Thank you. And for the last question, starting with Mr. Ramirez, what committees do you hope to serve on and why?
Oh, the first one that comes to my mind is Legislative Committee. I want to sit there and not only partner with the communities like City of Elgin, but the state of Illinois, heck, other counties. When we can sit there and work together and brainstorm, we don't have to do this alone and by ourselves. That's the first one that comes to my mind. And then, as a foster parent, I would love to sit there and work on anything that involves youth. So whether it be with the Juvenile Justice Department or Sheriff Haynes with his Juvenile Detention Center, that would be, if those committees even exist, those would be my first two.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
All committee assignments and chairmanships, et cetera, are the purview of whoever is elected county chairman. County chairman is an odd role because you're paid for a full-time position, but your authority is that you're there every day, and the people who work who head up the departments can treat you as a point person, and the other elected officers, state's attorney, chief judge, recorder, et cetera, treat you as an equal, someone who needs to be considered in problem solving, but all the decisions are made by the county board. So the thing is that whether you have the responsibility of a chairmanship or you're assigned to a committee, we are all welcome at all committees. And if you figure that there are 20 working days in a month, 12 of those days have some county or forest preserve responsibility. Not all day, some mornings, some afternoon, but it's important to plan to do that work.
Thank you. Thank you for answering our questions. We'll hear your 2-minute closing statements now, beginning with Mr. Ramirez.
So in my opening statement, we talked about passion. When I moved to Elgin 10 years ago, I introduced myself to the city council, and I believe the mayor finally said, okay, I know who you are. Don't talk to me anymore. No offense, he still talks to me. But the whole point is this. I am, how do you say, proactive in terms of government. I know government mostly is a reactive form, but I want to sit there and tell you what's going on. I see County Board Tepe here, and I praise him for his emails all the time, because he sits there and just gives information, and that's what I want from our elected officials, not just county board members, or township or city or anything. I want to be indulged with enough information in terms of what's going on so I can opt out if I need to, but that's what I hear at the doors. They're like, I have no idea what the county does. I have no idea what the city does. I have no idea about what government is. I said, well, I'd be more than happy to walk you through it, because I'm the person that, I talked to my state legislator the other day and I said, yeah, I watch ilga.gov for fun. And she goes, who are you? I said, I enjoy knowing what's happening in my life. I don't vote for American Idol because it's fun. I vote for in elections because I need to. And so I put my name on this ballot, because I want to sit there and not only fight for my community, I want to sit there and work for you. I want to sit there and say, hey, you can call me, email, come over, knock on my door. I said, but when it comes down to it, I want to sit there and be the voice at the table of reason. Talk to the right, talk to the left, and say, how do we get this done together? And not just be so divisive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Ms. Allen?
The best government is the government that's closest to the people it serves. I mean, we see that over and over again. I've joked with Franklin that it's really hard to mow my lawn because people will stop and want to talk about something, and that's fine. That's what you're outside to do. My background came out of an interest in city council and in neighborhood organizations, because in a neighborhood is where how do you solve the problem of the worst house and the owner is in New Mexico somewhere, and it affects all your property values. So how do you go after those problems? And those are interesting to me, and solving those problems close to home is where you can actually do some work. Now I'm going to switch back over to the farmland protection. So the committee shorted the riverboat amount for farmland protection. And the way to solve that was first to talk with a few people about whether it was a good thing to do, to go after it, because the committee had done its work diligently and as fairly as it possibly could. So the strategy that I came up with my friends was to go talk to Jamie Mosser, the state's attorney, because of the money that goes to the county from the riverboat, about half of it goes into state's attorney programs. And so I said to her, some of your programming is aimed at the problems created by the pandemic. Can we try and get you paid there? And she agreed to that. Then I called all 23 county board members, besides myself, to say, here's what I'm thinking, and we have approval from the state's attorney. Can we try and get this money back into the riverboat so that we can fund farmland protection? And some people said, I'll never second guess what a committee has done, what their recommendation is. But we passed that, and maybe it's not a big deal. Oh,
Thank you.
I'm denied the punchline. Afterwards, I'm going to give you the punchline.
Thank you both for participating in this candidate forum and giving the voters a chance to hear your views. For more information on these and other candidates, check the voter guide on our website, http://LWVELginarea.org and the League of Women Voters Illinois Voter Guide. That concludes tonight's candidate forum. I want to thank the candidates, the league members who worked to provide this forum, and the voters who take the time to watch these forums and learn about the candidates in order to make an informed choice. We hope that each and every one of you will vote and encourage your family, friends, and neighbors to do the same. If you applied to vote by mail, ballots are being mailed out now. Voting early in person at permanent vote polling places begins on June 13th, and voting on Election Day at your regular polling places will be on June 28th. If you plan to vote early, please note that the different sites are open different hours, and there may be changes from previous years. You can check our information table by the door or the Kane County Elections website for current information. We hope that this candidate forum, presented as a public service by the League of Women Voters, has been helpful. There have been other forums already recorded by the League and available now. May 31st, the Republican primary for Illinois Representative District 66 with candidates Connie Kane and Aaron Thrower. June 2nd, the Democratic primary for the 8th Congressional District hosted jointly with 6 League organizations in the 8th District. The candidates were Junaid Ahmad and Raja Krishnamurti. In addition to the candidate forums hosted by the League of Women Voters Elgin area, recordings of the following forums hosted jointly with other local leagues are available on the League of Women Voters of the Elgin area website. Again, https://lwvelginarea.org under voter guide for the 2022 primary. Republican and Democratic primaries for the Illinois Supreme Court 2nd District and the Democratic primary for the Illinois Appellate Court 2nd District were hosted by 9 leagues within the 2nd District and recorded on May 17th. Republican primary for Congressional District for the 11th District was hosted by 10 leagues within the 11th District and recorded on May 11th. The Democratic primary for Congressional Representative for the 3rd District was hosted jointly by 7 leagues within the 3rd District and recorded on May 18th. No forums will be held for the following primary races due to insufficient candidate participation: the Republican primary for the 8th Congressional District, the Republican primary for King County Clerk, the Republican primary for King County Board District 9, and the Democratic primary for King County Board District 22. Thank you very much for your attendance. Good night.